So it's been some time now since the DJI Neo was released now, and I must say from my experience, things have only grown to the better with this drone. Despite the smaller sensor, the over-sharpened image quality, and the lack of obstacle avoidance sensors, this is the only drone that checks all boxes when it comes to having fun, traveling, and capturing moments which I otherwise wouldn't be able to capture because of the time it takes to set up these other drones. I mean, this is a one-tap drone and you can get this going in about 10 to 15 seconds. So in today's video, I want to share my top 5 reasons of why this $199 drone is going to be my go-to for 2025. The first one is portability. Even though this has a low weight of 135 grams, the form factor of the drone itself and how small it is really what makes it for me, and that I'm actually able to put this in my pocket and fly without having to connect my controller or even my phone has been a huge game changer for what I'm able to capture without having to wait for connection and satellites and so on. And by taking away the need of using a controller, it also means that the whole travel setup is going to be lighter. So going to the beach, for example, or just on a short hike, I don't necessarily have to bring a backpack or a shoulder bag. Maybe a few extra batteries I can put in my pocket, but because of that, this is, it's so much easier to travel with this, and you can still capture those aerial shots. The other reason is, of course, going to be the versatility that I have with this. Not only can I fly this without a controller, but I can also fly FPV, normal, and with my smartphone, which offers great value for money. Though if you don't have a pair of goggles 3 or N3 laying around, this will of course be an additional cost. My point is that this is the only drone that DJI offers that you can fly like a normal drone with and without the controller and with your smartphone, and as an FPV drone with the RC Motion 3 or the FPV 3 controller. So when I go out to fly, for example, I'm not limited to one style of flying. If I want to fly FPV, I can do that. If I want to fly with a remote controller to have a longer reach, I can do that. If I just want to take some quick selfies, I don't need to use a controller at all, and I can only use the buttons on the drone itself, which is fantastic. The third reason is the ease of use. Of course, this is by far the easiest drone to use, and there's no other DJI drone which is as easy to use as the DJI Neo. There's only one button you have to use in order to change between the different quick shots and settings here on the drone itself, and when you have the selected quick shot, you press hold on the same button and the drone will automatically start that quick shot. So like I mentioned earlier, instead of waiting for like 2-3 minutes to capture a selfie or a quick shot like circle, droney, or even have the drone follow you for a short time, you can easily get this done with the DJI Neo in about like 10 to 15 seconds. Now the good thing about this drone is that it also has these built-in prop guards on the bottom here for additional safety, and you also have these removable prop guards on the top for even more safety. So this is going to make it much safer and more convenient for anyone basically to take off and land with the DJI Neo. Now when it comes to image quality, this is not the best, but I also think a lot of people might be too obsessed with the image quality and pixel peeping when it comes to, especially when it comes to DJI devices. But this is, after all, a $199 drone, which can be used in so many different ways compared to any other DJI drone. So despite the smaller sensor that you have on the DJI Neo, this is the most versatile drone that DJI has to offer as of this video. And for $199, I think the image quality is more than good enough for social media, and even as your main travel drone if you just want to capture some private videos from your vacation, or even, share them now and then on YouTube, for example, TikTok or Instagram. And I mean, despite owning the DJI Air 3S here, which is amazing in all aspects and what I consider a complete drone that ticks all boxes, I still prefer to use the DJI Neo because of its versatility, ease of use, and the size of how small it is that it actually fits in my pocket, which makes everything more convenient when I'm out traveling. And if you travel with kids, I say this in every single video that I make with new products, which is convenient for me to use and that I find really, really useful. If you have kids, the smaller things are, the easier it is to use, the better vacation you're gonna have, because you don't want your kids to sit and wait for dad to, you know, capture some amazing videos. So to have something which is as easy as the DJI Neo, fantastic. It is absolutely amazing. But of course, for a bigger project where I need the best image quality possible, I would probably end up using the DJI Air 3S or even the Mini 4 Pro if possible. But for everything else, which does not require pixel peeping, the Neo is actually my go-to as of this video. And I also think most of the people getting the DJI Neo will instantly have more fun than if they got something like the Air 3 or even the Mini 3 if you're on a budget, because these two requires a little bit more, like a bigger bag, longer setup time, and deciding between which mode you want to use, which can also be a little bit overwhelming, especially if you're brand new to drones. And personally, I think I said this in my Hawaii video with the Neo as well, but I prefer a drone that adds more value to my vacation than something I need to spend time on setting up, leaving the whole party waiting for me to decide between features and wait for all the satellites to kick in and so on. But of course, this is individual and really depends on what you want to achieve when you're on a vacation. But for me personally, I would actually prefer something which is easier, and I would honestly sacrifice image quality for the ease of use and the better, you know, travel experience that I would have with my family, because it's not always, you know, me and what I want to do. So I just having something like the DJI Neo, which makes everything easier for the whole party, is you know, something I really do appreciate more than spending time on setting up all these devices. And it makes me enjoy more of my vacation, I would say. It's the same thing with the X4, for example, versus the GoPro 13. I would pick the X4 anytime over the GoPro 13 because, you know, it gives me more value. There's less effort that has to go into filming these videos because it's a 360 camera, so I just hold it in one position, I can place it down, and I can go back into the editing software later when my vacation is over, and then I can start to reframe everything, and I don't have to think about anything when I'm on the spot with my family, which just makes the whole travel experience so much easier. And that kind of reflects back to the DJI Neo and how convenient this is to use and how much joy this brings, basically, compared to spending a lot of time in each location just to set things up and capture some amazing shots, because you will get much better image quality if you just go for the Mini 3 standard, for example, but it also takes longer to set up. So that's basically my point. Now, the last reason I will be using the Neo as my go-to travel drone in 2025 is the overall experience I've had with this compared to any other drone I've used in the past. And this also goes back to everything that I've previously said in this video. But of course, if the DJI Neo 2 comes out, my opinion will most likely change and I will be moving over to the DJI Neo 2 or Pro, whatever they want to call it. But as of this video, there is no indication that the Neo 2 will be released in the near future. And for $199 US, I wouldn't hold off on the Neo because it's such a fantastic drone. And as of user experience, I don't think anything really beats this because of how easy this is to use. But I also think with some minor adjustments in post, the image quality is more than enough for social media. And honestly, I think the quality pressure is getting way out of control. I think a lot of consumers are demanding too much, and I mean, this is a $199 US drone, so there's only so much you can expect. I mean, look at GoPro. People are still buying GoPros, where I regret every single GoPro purchase I've made just to share the actual truth about the flaws that GoPro has. So even if GoPro has better image quality, which they have, there's so many flaws like battery issues, freezing, low light problems, and more that makes all the other brands more reliable and a better buy than GoPro, in my opinion. So video quality is basically a small part of the video, and what actually matters is the story you're trying to tell. So if you have a good story, some nice music, and perhaps some sound design with some sound effects, effects, the actual image resolution doesn't really matter as much because people will be more interested in the actual story. And this is one of the reasons I'm crowning the DJI Neo as the best drone of the year, because it appeals to so many people compared to a bigger drone with a bigger sensor and better image quality, which might require a license or a trust certificate from an online exam as a proof that you have understood the drone rules and so on. But don't get me wrong, the Air 3S and the Mini 4 Pro is untouchable. The best two drones in their class, if you ask me, and if you have the budget, there is no better drone to get than any of these drones if your goal is image quality and features. But I also want to say that I traveled to Hawaii with the Mini 4 Pro, the Mini 3 Pro, the Avata 2 and the DJI Neo, and the only drone I used on the entire trip was the Neo. And I think that says a lot about this drone. It was more convenient and fun to use this than any of the other drones, and most of the time I used the follow mode and I used Droney and a few other quick shots to capture parts of the island. And of course, because it's so small and lightweight and can be controlled with my smartphone, I also used it handheld to capture a cinematic sequence when going on a hike, and then I just used my phone basically to monitor and to click start stop recording. Now, as a battery life, I've been getting about 13 minutes over these past months, which is not as much as I'm used to with the Air 3S and the Mini 4 Pro, for example, but these batteries are also quite cheap, so I would suggest just getting a few extra batteries so you can switch these out whenever you need. And if you decide to get the Fly More combo, you will also get this charging hub that charges all the batteries simultaneously from 0 to 100 in about 40 to 42 minutes. Which is pretty good. But a few extra batteries is definitely needed because this is a lot of fun when you first get your hands on it. If you can see past the image quality, this is by far the drone of the year and is something that I recommend anyone to grab because it's so easy to use. So there you have my 5 reasons of why I think you should get the DJI Neo, and my 5 reasons of why this is going to be my go-to drone for 2025, as well as why I'm ranking this as the best drone of 2024, if you can look past the image quality and the pixel peeping, of course. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments below about this drone, and if you already have the Neo, what is your favorite parts about it? And don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button on your way down there. And with that said, thanks for watching, and I wish you guys a happy new year, and I will see you next year in 2025. Bye bye.